Flosstube. I am Danielle and this is my channel Love and Stitchin', a channel about cross stitch. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. This is Flosstube number 35 and today is Thursday, January 5th, 2023. So happy New Year to everyone. I hope everyone had a great Christmas, a great New Year. It has been about a month since I filmed. We are on baby watch, so I thought I better go ahead and get a video in before she arrives. I'm at around 36 and a half weeks, but had started having some contractions and things like that. So just trying to keep my feet up and keep her in there as long as possible. But I wanted to get a video out because I have a ton of stitching from the last month. If I wait until, you know, after baby and everything, it would just be a lot. I know there's gonna be a lot of stitching in this video already. So I hope you are ready to see a lot of stitching because I've got a lot here. And anyways, let's see. For Christmas, we had a great time. We were sick with the flu like the 2 weeks before Christmas, which then made us have to just rush for that last week and get things done. So it was a mad dash towards Christmas and then just getting the house cleaned up after Christmas so that we can start getting ready for baby. So that's kind of where we're at. Both kids are now back in their school routines, which has been great. And they're happy to be back with their friends and getting back into the activities, their after school activities, things like that. So we are just kind of trying to get back into the routine, knowing that it's about to get interrupted a little bit coming up soon. But like I said, I've got lots of stitching. One thing I was going to say, I did reach over 3,000 subscribers over Christmas. So thank you guys so much for your support, for following me. I really do appreciate it. Like I said, I do have some giveaways for that at the end. And so I'll talk about that more at the end. But thank you guys so much for just watching and commenting and following along. It's such a great community that we have with our cross stitch on Instagram, on Flosstube. It's so fun just to interact with everyone and make stitchy friends throughout the process. It has been just a great experience for me and I appreciate you guys so much. So I did want to just say that before we get started. So I don't have any fully finished objects. My craft room was used as a guest bedroom over Christmas for my family that came to visit. And then it has been kind of the dumping ground right now for just getting things ready in other rooms for the baby. And so it is a hot mess and it is on the agenda to get done. My husband's going to help me there. So hopefully we will get things organized maybe before baby. We'll see. So there's no fully finished, but I did want to bring out some previous finishes. There is gonna be a lot of Christmas stitching in this video. I know we're in the new year and it's more winter now, but because I haven't filmed since the beginning of December, I still stitched a lot of Christmas through December. I had planned on switching to winter, but I had a lot of whips that were almost done. And so I was like, I just really want to knock these out and they're Christmas whips. And then that way I can move on to my winter stitching probably in season. So I'll talk more about like my plans and things like that at the end of the video. But my previous finishes are Christmas finishes that I don't think I've shown before. So I wanted to grab those and show them. My dog is going crazy in some paper right now. He's trying to find something that like he likes. Get his attention, get him to stop. Okay, so the first one is one I stitched in 2006. There might be a glare because there is glass, so I'm gonna try to get the glare off of it. Let's hold it up like that. There we go. This was from a Just Cross Stitch magazine. I think it is probably around 2005, 2006. It was a recent one that had come out at the time. And I'm pretty sure it was just cross stitch. And so this is just a whole bunch of snowmen in the shape of a tree. And I was living in Kentucky at the time when I was working on this. I was in high school and we went to my family back in Colorado. We ended up going to their house and we drove all night to avoid a snowstorm. Then we got snowed in. So I have really good memories of working on this at my aunt and uncle's house after that snowstorm and getting it done over that Christmas break that we were there. And so I really, really like this piece. And then my mom and I took it to a framer, local framer, and we came up with the idea of having the mat be in like a Christmas tree way. So I love putting this out every year. I'm sure I stitched it with the called for colors. It's on a 14 count Aida and it's like a wood grain Aida. And I can't remember what the name of it would be. So that is a piece that I absolutely love putting out. It was a labor of love because there's a lot of backstitch in it, and backstitch is not my favorite, but we got through it. The other previous finishes that I wanted to show were part of the Little House Needleworks Hometown Holiday Series. I've only stitched 4 of them. I have a bag full of the charts though, so I'd really like to maybe add a couple to my collection this year. We'll see how that goes, but that would be something I'd really like to do. So what I did on these ones is I followed Vanna Pfeiffer, who is the Twisted Stitcher, her free tutorial on how to make a, I think it's called a tag ornament. And so these aren't ornaments, I don't hang them on the tree. And I think I may end up changing how I display them and putting them in like easels for the ones that I've done so far, because the hanging, how I'm hanging them is not working out the way that I'd like. So I just took them down from that just to show you the piece. So this is the tree farm. And so you can see it's just sandwiched between 2 pieces of board. I think I did use Alina's glue for these, which is what she called for. Even though I prefer hot glue. I did these when I was pregnant with my daughter. I finished them very, very pregnant. My mom came over and helped me with all of it. So, and then there's the, I can't remember what these things are called, but for the eyelets or whatever. I also can't remember what I'm stitching them on. It's a 28 count. It's from 1, 2, 3 Stitch. I'll have to look it up. I can't remember what it was. I have a little bit left of it. I may have to get some more to finish them up. But this one was stitched 2019. So I did stitch, let's see, all of them in 2019 and finished them in 2019 before my daughter was born. And I think I used all the called for colors. I don't think I changed anything up on there. But Vanna gives you instructions on like how to do all of this and the cutting. I didn't have my guillotine cutter at the time, so I was using a razor cutter, and so that was a challenge for this, but still it worked out. And then I used just some trim to go around them as well. So that is the first one. And then the next one is the coffee shop, because I absolutely love coffee. So I had to stitch that one. And I am using different fabric for all of these. So I'm mixing and matching and making it kind of go along with whatever is in the scene. And then I used white cording on this one. And so, again. And then I do have these tags. That's what they were hanging from. Or these ribbons. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep that or not. I may change it up. And then this is the train station, because we do love trains in our house. And so that's one of my favorites. The only thing on this one I wish I would have done is maybe make the train station a darker color. It does show up, and you can still see it, but it's very close to the color that I am stitching them on. And then the final one is the home one. So that is for our home. I think this one actually might be my favorite, probably because it has our name on it, but I really like that one. And there's a lot more that I want to do. So like I said, I've got several of the patterns. I just need to get stitching on them, and they go fairly quickly, I would say. All right, so those are my previous finishes. As for finishes, there's like 9 of them. So just hang on for the ride. Because I did have some stitch alongs going on, and then like I said, I had some whips that I was just anxious to get done and finish up that were pretty close to being finished. So the first one I will share though is the Christmas Rules by Primrose Cottage Stitches. This was hosted by the Cornhusker State Stitchers, who I really enjoy watching. And so I joined in, and it was 1 block per week that you were working on, and that made it really manageable. I worked on this every Saturday. That was the first day of kind of the week for what we were doing. And I think I was able to get each piece done over the weekend, except for when I had the flu. It took a little bit longer on that one because of the flu. And so I am stitching this on 28 count, or stitched it on 20 count Picture This Plus Crystal Dwarf. I can't remember what colors I changed, but I did change them. So I used, for the red, I used, actually I think cranberry is the called for. Gentle Arch Cranberry. One thing I will note with this, I had to use 2 full skeins of the cranberry, and I still ran out at the end. And so the very bottom border is a different color, and I can't remember what I used. I just had to go to my satch, and I think I unpicked it a couple times because when I picked out the colors, it did not match. And so I had to come up with something that was going to match, because I didn't want to order a whole new skein for it to come however many weeks later. And I only had 15 stitches left. So I was convinced I could, because it's variegated, I could make it work. And I did. Did I change any others? Weeks Direct, Cocoa, no. I did use for the white, Pearl White, and that's from Color and Cotton. I think that might be the only thing that I changed. Everything else, yep, looks like it's called for. So this one was started on October 29th and finished on December 18th. So here is the full long finish. And I actually do have a finishing board for this. I was at my parents' house, and my dad was showing his kind of workshop area in the basement. And there was a long board, and you'll see it when I get it finished. And I thought that that would be perfect. So I asked my dad, because he was cleaning things out. I said, is this being used for anything? It's just sitting here. And he's like, we need to check with your mom. So I checked with my mom. She's like, no, I had plans for it, but I don't know what I'm going to do with it now. And it's just been sitting there. I said, can I have it? Because I think it'll be perfect. So it's a little bit taller than the finished piece, but that leaves room for the bow if I want to do anything on the bottom. And it's just an unfinished piece of wood, but it does have like the wood, like it's not just like a board, but it's actually like got a design on it or whatever. So I think it'll be perfect, and I'm looking forward to doing that. So here is, and you can see this fabric is glittery, which is one reason why I really liked it. And I did put a poll on Instagram for 2 different fabrics. One was more of a neutral fabric, and then this one, and this one won out. So this is another reason why I did this one. And so there is, let's see. I think my favorite block was Believe. I don't know why. The reindeer and all of it. I just love it. Love it. So I can't wait to get that one finished, but it will be a little while before it gets done. That was number 1. Number 2, let's see, was my Christmas countdown that I was doing. And this is by Cottage Needleworks, or Countdown to Christmas. So what I had done was I stitched the border, so all of the white, and then the houses at the top, and then I just filled in a block a day. And I was able to keep up. I don't think there was any days that I had to make up. I think I stitched ahead on the 23rd for the 24th, knowing that I probably wouldn't get a lot of stitching in. And then I actually brought it to my mom's house for Christmas Day and finished 25 while we were just sitting at the table talking. And so that's how quick and easy these blocks were. And I really loved having like my own advent. I don't know, I'd have to come up with something, because these are so small that they were manageable. I'd like to do it again this year, but I don't know if there's any out there that are that small and manageable. So where's my, there it is. So this is stitched on 28 count Platinum Lugana. I feel like it's actually 32 count. I think it's 32 count. I think I wrote that down wrong. I think it's 32 count. And I did not iron this after I finished it, so it's just been folded up. But that is the finish. And I switched the green to spinach. I think it called for baby spinach sampler threads, and I used spinach by Classic Colorworks, I think. And then I used 3865 for the white instead of white, but everything else is called for. So the green is a little bit darker than called for. But that's my finish. And I have an idea of what I want to do for this. I just have to find the right combination to make it work. So we'll see if I can make the vision come true. I don't know. I don't know. All right, so along the lines with Cottage Needleworks, this was a whip that I had, and I have 9 done in the series. No, 8. This is number 9. So I now have 9 done. There are 12. So one of my goals for this year is to finish this series, because I have been working on it since 2012. So this is a decade-long project, which is a little too long for it. So this one, it's Santa's Village, and it is by Cottage Needleworks, and this is Mrs. Claus Cookie Shop. So I had started this one, and I can't remember when, but all I had done on it was the white around the door and some of the windows. So it's not a big piece, but I don't know. It took me a very long time to get it done. So I finally picked it up, and I was like, I'm gonna get this thing worked on and get it done, at least add one more to the collection. And I have the other ones finished in a foam block stand-up. And so that is another Vana tutorial, if I'm not mistaken. Like I said, it's been over 10 years. And the last one I finished, I think, was maybe last year, maybe 2 years ago. So I've just not worked on them. So I've got 3 left. I've got my next one picked out that I'm going to work on whenever I get around to starting it. These are on, I think it's the called for fabric, which is a 32 count, let's see, 32 count lamb's wool, but it is an even weave, so it's not the linen that it calls for, but it is lamb's wool that it's stitched on. And then I just use all the called for colors, and I do have the other, like, there's only a couple classic color works for each of these, and so I've got them all in their bags ready to go. I just have to pull the DMC to work on them. So one more time, there it is. So that was another finish that I worked very hard to get done. I was very anxious to get it done. Another one that I finished up was In a Stable by Shepherd's Bush, and this picture just does not do it justice. I did stitch them individually. This was a stitch along I did with Kimberly's Stitching on Instagram. She finished hers last year. You should definitely check it out. She also did it with the 2,000 Years Ago piece, so that's which I've stitched previously, and they're in blocks, block finishes as well, like just like the Santa's Village. So I only had one left to finish, and so I started and I finished it. So the first one was In a Stable, and then the next one was As Bethlehem Slept, Mary and Joseph. And this was the last one that I had to finish. So there's Sweet Baby Kept. These are on 32 count Heritage Lugana with some of the called for, some my own colors. I think I darkened them up a little bit because if you see pictures of them in the Just Cross Stitch magazines, the ornament editions, because they are in there from like 2004 to 2007, I think. So one a year. The colors are a little bit lighter than what I did, but I think I just went with what I had in stash to darken them up. So I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to finish those yet. If I'll do a cube finish again or if I'll do something different. But either way, that was 2 whips that I carried over from last year. So from 2021, those were 2 whips that I finished. And I did have one more that I finished. This was Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, or A Merry Little Christmas, by Stitching with the Housewives. I did dye the fabric on my own. It is a 28 count Monaco, dyed with denim, maybe? I can't remember. So I did use mostly the called for colors. The only change I made, and if you saw my Instagram, I talked about this, was the Santa. I made him into a green with a green suit. So my husband, I think Santa was one of the last things I had to stitch. So I was showing him, I've only got Santa left. And he was like, you're going to give him a green suit? And I was very confused. And he said, well, traditionally, Santa had a green suit, at least at one point in history. And then they moved him to a red suit. So we looked up the history, and I was like, well, we can give him a green suit. I have lots of red suited Santas. So we'll do that. So I will always remember that conversation because of my green suited Santa. And I think he's just so cute. So that one is another finish. I have to get into my craft room and find finishing pieces for all of these now. That's a lot. Oh, I had another one that was a previous whip. Haha, not done yet. I only had, let's tell you what it is first. The Prairie Schooler Christmas Alphabet. And I had, let's see, CHRI. I was halfway through my S, which I had was a snowman. So I still had 4.5 to finish, but that wasn't that bad. And I did Mary as well. And so I was determined to get them finished. So I'm going to show you Mary first. Put them on the board. I need a bigger board. So there's Mary. Now, one thing I accidentally changed about these was the colors of the letters. I did not realize that they were all different colors. So they have blue, green, red. I think those are the 3 colors. So I started stitching Mary and I did everything in red. And I think initially it called for red, but then eventually one of the colors was supposed to be like green or something. So I just decided I was going to keep all of Merry red and all of Christmas green, which did mean a couple things got changed around. If there was too much green in a pattern or too much red, I did change things up, which I remember one of them, so I'll show you that one. And then the border I changed to 3031. It was a very light brown color, so I changed it up to a darker color. I do want to finish these similarly to how Priscilla did. She had them on the unfinished houses that were, I think, from Target, but I found them from Amazon. And so I do have those houses, but she only stitched Christmas for theirs. And so I just have to figure out how I want to do the Merry part as well. So what kind of board? I don't even have a finishing board for them. I didn't know how long it would take me to finish them. All right, so Christmas is next. I don't know if I can fit them all on this board. And I already cut them all into the little squares. Okay, let's see. See how well that works. So there is Christmas. So I did do the S's here differently, which is actually, they did them differently in the pattern. So I think S is supposed to be the snowman, but then they also did the Santa for K, I'm guessing Kris Kringle. And so I just went ahead and I wanted them to be a little bit different. Seeing how I had stitched the reindeer 3 times for Merry. And then for the M, in the previous M, because I did the red for the letter here, the green was what was charted for the mittens, and then here, because I did green for the letter, I did red mittens. So I know I made that change. I can't remember if I made any other changes in here. Oh, I think the angel, I switched her up. The angel was supposed to be a red dress with a green sash. No, red sash with a green dress. I changed it to the red dress with a green sash because the letter was green. So I wanted to add a little bit extra red in there. So those are the changes that I made to that. So sometimes when you make a mistake, you just have to kind of go with it and make it your own. And so that is what I did. So those are finished. I was very glad to get those finished because I wanted to start on my stitch along that I'm doing with Cow Stitcher and Traveling Viking Mama on Instagram, and Cow Stitcher is also on Flosstube, so check her out. And this is a stitch along that we are planning to stitch 52 ornaments in the year 2023. So I stitched over 30 last year. We'll see how the year goes. It's a goal. The hashtag is goal to stitch 52 ornaments. So we'll see how it goes. But I think all of us at least have one finished already for the year. And I wanted to start in on the Prairie Schooler A Merry Mini Surprise. So this was the first ornament that I started and finished. And I did do it all in one day. Admittedly, I had more stitching time that day because I was putting my feet up and resting. So I was able to get him knocked out. So this is just one of the 8 that are in the booklet. And they stitch up really quick. I mean, you can see there's not a whole lot of color changes in there. And you can stitch it in blocks and fill in, and I love Prairie Schooler. So this is actually only my 3rd Prairie Schooler ornament that I have done. So I'm really excited to add to it and do some more from this book, some more from some other books. For me, for the 52 ornaments, they're not all gonna be for me. Some of them will be the gifts that I do for my teacher's kids. And then the ornaments for my kids, there'll be 9 for my kids because they'll be number 3. And I'm going to try to do 3 for each of them. My husband I'll probably do an ornament for, and I've got some for family that I might want to do. So the 52 are going to not all be going onto my tree. Although I did upgrade my tree, that is my main cross stitch tree, from I think it's, the tree I have is either 4 or 4.5 feet. And we bought a 6 or 6.5 foot tree because I knew I would need more space. And then I do still have the other 3 trees that I have up. So, but I needed some more space. And you know, Christmas clearance, how can you resist? So that was good. Okay, my last finish, and then there's a whole bunch of whips as well. But my last finish was another one, one that I started for New Year's. So I did not in theory, participate in the 12 by 12 because I've got the 2 little people. It's just not going to be possible to have 12 new starts, 1 every hour, or anything like that. I think if I had planned it differently, I probably could have gotten 12 over the entire weekend maybe. But instead I decided I had one night, I think it was the 30th before we had plans on the 31st, that I was going to do 6 new starts in 3 hours. So 30 minutes per start, and at least get some things started that I want to be stitching on in the month of January. And I'll show you those starts. I think I only got 5 done because I think I started at maybe 8:30. So by 11, I was just too tired. So I got 5 started, and this is one of the ones that I started. And this is a series that I do want to stitch 1 a month for the year and get finished. I had already stitched January last year. So I started with February, and this is Vintage Truck February by Erica Maid. She is Confessions of a Homeschooler.com. Erica Arndt, but Erica Maid designs. So that is the truck, and I stitched it on 25 count Vintage Country Mocha Lugana. I did change some of the colors because I didn't have any or all of them, and this year is about stitching from stash. So another note on that, as things are coming up, I'm remembering everything. I am participating with Jessica, the Sweetwater Stitcher, and the Fanciful Flamingo for Stitch Your Stash 2023. So they've got a Facebook group. I'm part of that Facebook group, and it's just fun to see what everyone's doing. But before they even announced that they were going to be doing the Facebook group and things, I had already made the plan for myself that I would be stitching mostly from stash, from whips. Try not to do a lot of purchasing this year, and because I have so much that I just need to kind of go through and stitch, and there's a lot of things that I want to work on that I already have. So I thought it would be fun just to join in with them since they created that group and everything. So these were in my stash. The fabric was in my stash. The floss was in my stash. And so I just went with what I had. So I did change some of the colors, but this is my finish. I think I finished this like 2 days ago. So this was my second finish of the year. So I've got 2 finishes now. The Merry Mini Surprise ornament, and then this one. And the other thought for this year is smalls, especially for the monthly pieces, because I need to keep it manageable with a new baby. And so smalls and working on whips that I have, and we'll just kind of see how the year plays out. So that was my last finish. And then we've got a whole, no, I forgot one. There's one more. And this was a whip from a couple years ago as well. So hey, I'm knocking out those whips. And this is a Little House Needleworks. And it is, where is it? There it is. The Farmhouse Christmas series. And it is Baba Black Sheep. I have now stitched 3 of these. There are 9 in the series, and this is another one series that I'd like to work on this year and see if I can't get it done. So here is my finish, and I forgot to look up the fabric because I can't remember what the fabric name is. But it is a blue Lugana, no, not Lugana, a blue even weave from 123 Stitch that I think is actually discontinued because I had to find the rest of it to get enough for the series on eBay and maybe some other cross stitch shops online. I had to do a search because I knew I was going to run out. But the only change I made was to the border, and I am doing like a red stitch. So instead of it all being white, I'm doing a red stitch in between what look like snowflakes to me. Everything else is as charted, except for my red. I am using Buckeye Scarlet by Gentle Arts. And I believe everything else is called for though. So that was another finish. I had started it maybe 2021, maybe 2020, I can't remember. So it's number 3. And I think I've shown these other ones a few times that I've done. I can't remember the name of that one. But there's that one that I finished. And then the quilt. That goes in the middle, technically. And I do have an idea of how I'm going to finish it, actually. I've got my dad on something that I want. But I got to stitch it first, so he's not in a hurry. And I'm not in a hurry for him to be in a hurry. And then this is the next one I'm going to work on. and I'm looking forward to working on that one. Okay, now we're done with my finishes. Whoops. That one was in a bag, so I kind of just forgot about it. One more finish and a whip, so I'm going to show these together that I had forgotten about. I don't know how I forgot about it because I was stitching on it last night. So I finished before the end of the year, Big City Christmas. This is the new series by Cottage Needleworks. That is the first one that came out. It is the department store. So I did finish that one, and it was a lot of fun to stitch. So I'm going to try to stitch this series this year and keep up. We all know how that went with Farmhouse. The Farmhouse series. I can't remember what it was called. Fall on the Farm with Little House Needleworks. I did not finish those. I want to get them finished this year. But this is the finish. I am stitching, I think this is wheat Lugana. 28 count wheat Lugana is what I'm stitching them on with the called for colors. So that was a finish. And then yesterday in the mail, I got the second one, which is the theater. So of course I had to get it started. It was supposed to be here Tuesday night, but when our mail ran, it did not come. But then we had a second mail run, I guess, that came through, and it was delivered at 9:30. Well, I did not go up to the mail at 9:30 and get it. I got it the next day. So I started it last night. So that is I had like about an hour that I stitched on it, just my start. So this, even though they're bigger, because they're the big city, so they're 3-story pieces, they actually go pretty quickly. So the way that I did this one, so I did the top, and then I did this first part here and filled in, then I did the second level and filled in, and then I did the third level, and then I did this part together. So it made it seem a lot more manageable and not so big. And so I'm going to do the same thing with this one. So I'm going to do the roof, and I'm going to do, this one actually is probably going to be in 4 stages because it's a little bit different. Do the roof, and then this top part, the middle part, and then the bottom part, and then the parts on the side over here. So that's how I'm going to plan to stitch that. So like I said, I'm going to be stitching Christmas all year long with these series, with the ornaments, everything like that I want to do. So that is finishes and a whip. All my finishes and a whip all together. All right, so as far as my whips, I'm going to show you the ones that I started for my New Year's starts that I did first. And there were 5, so I already showed you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'll show you the other few that I've got going on. So this one is Hello Winter by Primrose Cottage Stitches. I have most of these. I think I don't have summer, but I do want to do spring, autumn, or yeah, I think it's autumn, and then Santa. I have the Santa one. I'd like to do those this year. And they're small as well. Did I write down what this fabric is? I don't know. Because I've got it on here. The fabric is 32 count. It says Bossa. I don't think that's the right full name. Splash with white dots Lugana fabric. I don't have a big start. This was a very small start. And it's 32 count, and I think I was getting tired. But I got a small start on it. So I'm working on the R and just filling in the R. So I liked that they did it with the dots. I had this, again, fabric and stash. So that's why I went with that one. So that is the start on that one, and I'm hoping to work on it some more this month. Called for colors, I do believe. Don't think I changed anything. I think I had all of those colors. And then the next one, this is a series that I was generously gifted, and so I'm excited to be working on it. And so I have all of the patterns for it, and it is January Typography by Pine Mountain Designs. So there are 12 in the series. I'm doing this on 28 count ivory Lugana, which was again in my stash. So for 30 minutes, that's not a bad start. And it won't take long to finish up. So that's another one that I want to be working on this month. And I just went ahead and finished the February vintage truck. That was the first one of these ones that I finished. And then I've been working on another one until it's finished, and then I'll kind of move on, I think. I really became a monogamous stitcher when I was working on these Christmas whips that I wanted to get done. because I was like, if I just go for it, I can get one done, and then I'd pick up the next one. And so I was excited to get all of those whips knocked out. I forgot to look at my 2022 stats, so I'm going to look those up, see how many finishes. I know it was over 100, how many whips, and things like that. So I'll try to post that on my Instagram once I kind of gather the data. I meant to do that, but I completely forgot. All right, another one that I want to do are the string series by Lizzie Kate. I have done Buzzy String. That's the only one that I've done. So this is Snowy String. So I do have the other ones that I want to do, which are Christmas, or Merry, Thankful, and Spooky. I don't have the spring one, so that one might not be getting done, but this one was another tiny start. So all I got done was the A and a little bit of snow. But that's okay. It's little. And I think I can get 2 on this fabric, actually. I might be able to do another one up there. And so this is actually the same fabric, I'm glad I pulled it out, that I'm doing for the Hometown Holiday series. And it is 28 count clay Jobelan. And it is from 123 Stitch. So that worked out that I had grabbed that because I had forgotten what I was stitching those on. So that was another 30-minute-ish start that I had. And then the last one is another Erica Arndt Confessions of a Homeschooler. This is her new series for this year, and it is a Stitchy House. She also does a Stitchy quilt, which I'm not a quilter, but I was really excited to see that she was doing a Stitchy House as well. Look at that cabin, and I do really love the quilt in there. Even though I'm not a quilter, I love the look of quilts, and so stitching quilts, I like doing that. So like the Calendar Crate series that has like the quilts that are in them, I really enjoy stitching those. So that is it. Now I am going to do this differently. I'm not going to stitch the Jan, so I'm not going to stitch the month, and I'm not going to do the border. I was telling some stitchy friends the other day that I have so many things in my house that say what month it is, because I've stitched so many of them. So I mean, you got January up here. I've got in my hutch 4 pieces that say January, I think, and so I don't think I need any more reminders of what month it is. I think we know what month it is. So I just want to do the houses and switch them out monthly, kind of like the 9-patch series that I did by Primrose Cottage. They don't say the month, they just have like the theme of what goes with that month or whatever. And so I'm going to do that with these ones. I'm stitching this on 25 count Vintage Country Mocha. And let's see. I'm changing 2 colors because of stitching in stash. This is where I'm at. The blue is 3765, so the dark blue, and then for the white, I'm using 3865. So the first night that I worked on it, I got like the white on the ground done and the white around the quilt done. So since then, I've been working on the house, and I think it will, or the little cottage, I think it'll come together pretty quickly. So I'm at the point where for the house, I'm just doing fill-in, and then I've got a little bit of fill-in for the quilt, and then build the trees and some snowflakes. So once I'm done with this one, I'll go on to one of the other wintry ones that I want to work on. One thing for this year also, I'm kind of filling in my plans as we go along, is that I want to, I don't know what I was going to say, stitch from stash. That's one thing. Oh, not spend as much. That's another thing. Small series. So this one may be an exception to the rule because it's, I think, $6 a month, and these are new, so that they'll be coming out like the 15th of every month, maybe. So I think I might make that an exception to the stash to where I can stitch this series because I really like it. But we'll see. There's a couple exceptions to the rule. As Jessica said, it would be ridiculous to not buy anything. And I agree with that. All right, so those were my starts for New Year's. I did have a New Year's Day start that has kind of turned into a stitch along as well, which I love. So it is the His Name is Sal, and I'll put that down below. This is a free pattern when you sign up for the newsletter, I think, and it is by Joyful Expressions. So I'll link their website down below. And this is the pattern. You can do it, they've got it in 2 different colorways, but I know that Some others are switching up their colors. It's only 3 colors, so there's a dark, a medium, and a light. I am doing it with blues. However, I'm not using the called for blues because it is charted in Anchor, or an Anchor thread, which I do not have. So I just made my own DMC conversion to do it. So for New Year's Day, this was my start. So my plan is to work on this probably on Sundays, along with, I'm also going to be stitching ornaments on Sundays, which is another hashtag that I have, which is Sunday ornament stitching. I forgot to mention that. I'll put all those down below. I know there's some others that are going to join in on that as well. But I think I'm going to work on this as like my Sunday kind of Sabbath stitch, and then also work on an ornament as well. So I'll have a couple things going on Sundays, hopefully. But this is on 27 count Ivory Linda is what I'm going to stitch this one on. And I think, stitching a couple names, except for the big part, his name is Jesus in the middle. That'll take a little bit longer because it's thicker. But some of these smaller names will go pretty quickly, I think. And it's all names. It's all words, letters. So the only part that's going to take a long time is that middle section. I think everything else will go pretty quickly. So I'm looking forward to working on that. I've had this one for a while since I signed up for the newsletter. And I thought New Year's Day is a really great time to start it and start working on it. 2 more whips, I think. I started this one before the new year. It was one that I had planned on starting with my winter stitching, but it took me a long time to finally get it started. This is the final one that I need to do for the series. Oh, that was what I was going to say. I am stitching in season this year. So previously I have stitched kind of ahead of season, kind of like the Housewives, they release things ahead of season so you can get them stitched and put them up. I have a lot already for decorations now to put up, and so I don't feel like I'm as in a rush to need to decorate and add things to it. I can kind of see where, as I put my decorations up, what I could fill in, where I could put things, etc. But I really want to stitch in season this year. So right now, since it's January, I'm stitching winter. I'm stitching some Valentine's stuff. We are getting ready for Valentine's Day. So I figured January and February kind of fit with the season. In March, I'll do some St. Patrick's Day probably, some spring stuff, things like that. So along with stitching Christmas all year long, because I am going to stitch that all year long, I am going to be doing more in season rather than ahead of season like I have done previously. So I'm looking forward to that. It kind of just keeps me in the spirit of the season that we're currently in and being present within that, I think. So that is one reason why I'm working on a lot of winter stuff right now. So this is Buffalo Plaid Winter, and it is the last one that I need to do. I don't have anything up for this right now because it's not done, and that's okay. When I get it done, it will get finished and put up, and that might be next year when it's up, but I'm okay with that. I'm stitching it on fabric that I dyed, and I can't remember what I used, but it's a blue. So for this series, I decided I was going to not do the black. I wanted to do it more with the season. So like for spring, I think I did it on more of a pinkish color. For fall, I did it on more of like a neutral vintage country mocha type color. Summer, I don't remember what I stitched it on. I need to go back and look. Anyways, I used colors that were more with the season instead of just the black. So all I have right now is starting on the border, because that border is a beast. I remember any border I feel like is a beast. So if I can get the border done, it makes me happy because then I can stitch the fun stuff. So I want to get the border done and then move on. But I really do like the fabric that it's on for this. I may have to change some of the blues because I'm doing it on blue. It calls for rain shower. So let's see. I may have to change that. I'm going to see how it shows up when I get to it. There's not a lot of rain shower. They're in the snowflakes, so the white is around them, so that might help. And then the snowman's hats. So we'll see. When I get to that point, I will make that judgment call. But we are not there yet. Gotta get a border done. And my last one is for my daughter. And it is the baby, it's by Designs for the Needle, Leisure Arts. And it's just called Baby Feet. And the pattern is Well Loved, because I've done this about 15 or 16 times. I guess there's the full pattern. So the date will be up there and then the baby name. So I'm working on this one. It is on a 28 count. Let's see. Picture this plus Pansy Lugana is what I'm stitching it on. And I'm currently working on filling in. I took this to gymnastics yesterday for my daughter, so I could just work on filling in that second foot. So I got the first one done. I haven't quite finished working over here. What I think I'm gonna do, because this is a lot of color change, is get the foot done, the toes done, and then as I'm working on both sides of that, I can just do one color at a time all the way down. That way I'm not switching the colors up as much, and hopefully it'll make it go a little bit faster. So I'm working on this one. It won't take me long. I just need to put the time in, and we'll see if it gets done before she arrives. But that's that. So that is all of my stitching. It was a lot. Yeah, we're 45 minutes in. I did have, let's see. Like I said, I have got some giveaways, things like that. And so from my last video, there were 3 that I did not hear from. So I did want to give them a second chance to respond. If I can grab all this stuff, goodness. My table is covered. All right, so from last time I had Reindeer Games, and this went to Glee Hansen. If you have emailed me, because I have heard that there's been some email issues, try Instagram, but hopefully your email will go through. Try emailing me again. If you need to email me, I didn't get it. Or try Instagram to contact me, or you can comment on my video and let me know that you had tried and we can figure something out. But this is Reindeer Games Glee Hansen. And then Snowy Pines went to Coffee Crafts Fabric. And then the 3 stockings was Norette Herzog. So if you tried, please try again or try a different way, and hopefully we can get in touch. So for the 3,000 subscribers, I did say I was going to do a giveaway, so I do want to do that. And these are mostly all donated from a very generous viewer and friend, so you know who you are, so thank you so much. And the way that I was going to do it this time was because there's a baby at the end of the month, and I don't know when my next video is. I've got 3 that are bundles is what I'll call them. 3 bundles that I wanted to do as bigger giveaways, but there's only 3 of them, but they're bundles. And because they're bundles, they're going to be a little bit heavier to ship, and shipping is a little bit expensive, and I hate to do this, but I am going to limit it to the United States only just because of the shipping costs. When I get back to videos and things, I will open it back up when I'm doing individual patterns, because that's not nearly as expensive to ship a larger package. Anyway, so that is one thing for the giveaways. And then, let's see. Like and subscribe. I always forget all the things, so I wrote things down to where I wouldn't forget. Like and subscribe to my channel to be entered, and answer the question that I'm going to ask you here in just a minute. Don't use the word giveaways, winner, any freebie, anything like that. Just so that I know that this is going to someone who is stitching. And then please be 18 years or older so that I can ship to your address, or get your address from you. So that is the ground rules for the giveaway. So if you're familiar with the Flosstube, you know all of those things. The first one is going to be, I believe there are 6 here of the Snow Village series. I think there are maybe 9 in the series. Maybe 7, maybe 9. So you'd only have to get a couple more, 1 to a couple more to finish the series. I don't have a picture of the entire thing together. You can stitch them together or individually. But this is Country Cottage Needleworks and Snow Village. And I was generously given a bundle of all patterns. So these are the ones that I had collected that I had not stitched. And so I wanted to be able to give those away. And I am kind of keeping with the theme of the month right now and season that we're in. So these are winter, and the other patterns are kind of winter and February. Love. So that's going to be bundle number 1. Oh, the question you're going to answer is, let me know if you are stitching in season this year or stitching ahead of season. I'm just interested to kind of know what your plans are. And if you're not a seasonal stitcher, you can totally tell me that you're not a seasonal stitcher and you're just going to be stitching on different things, whips, household things that you want to do throughout the year, which is something else that I'm going to try to work on. I don't have a lot of everyday pieces that go up and stay up all year long. So I do have some whips, some things that I want to start that are everyday pieces that I want to work on. So for the next bundle, it is Granita by It's So Emma. And there's Sue Hillis Designs. Flurries is what we'll call it. I don't know. And this does have a snowflake charm included in there. The January month to month, it does not have the floss, just the pattern. Starlit Snowflake by It's So Emma. And then Just My Type by It's So Emma as well. So that's bundle number 2. And then finally, I'm trying to keep these all organized and together so I don't lose them. The next one is kind of a quilty combo. So there is a quilt book. It is the Kaleidoscope book, Be in My Bonnet. And then Sew by Row, It's So Emma, right? No, Lori Holt, sorry. Lori Holt. And then the next one is It's So Emma, Quilty Love, Cross Stitch. And then Lori Holt's So She Did. So that is the number 3 combo or bundle. So those are the giveaways for 3,000 subscribers. Again, thank you guys so much for following along, joining me. It's been so much fun. I know this year is going to look a little bit different, but I'm excited to see what it brings. If I am not on here before the baby comes, which let's be honest, chances are I won't be, I will pick winners for these, let's say January 21st. So that gives 2 weeks. And I will either comment on your comment or do a community post, or maybe do both, to where you can know that you have won and you can just contact me and let me know, since I won't be able to announce it for maybe 2 months, maybe longer. We'll see. But feel free to follow me on Instagram. I will still be stitching, just maybe not as much. I'm going to try to stitch as much in January as I can before the baby comes. And then I do have a little bit of maternity leave, but there will be obviously a huge focus on her as well. So you can follow me on Instagram. I'll put that down below. My email address is down below as well. And I think, let's just look over my notes. I finished my video and I forgot about the haul section. So we're gonna have a little amendment here to mention the haul. So I did get some Christmas haul as gifts. And so I wanted to share some of that. And I think that's pretty much, it was all from Christmas. But I did get the Just Cross Stitch magazine for January. I don't remember there being a lot that I was like, oh, there was one. So I will share this with you because I was excited to see this. It's got some of the pattern in there. So I gotta try to not show that. This is by Stitchy Princess. She is a Ukrainian designer who I have gotten some patterns from. And so I was excited to see her in the magazine. That's really exciting. So if you don't follow her, you definitely should. She's got some really cute patterns. So that was one that I did like in the book. And then I got my February month to month. It's going in the pile to stitch one day. Probably not gonna be this year. Those ones are beasts to keep up with. Let's see, I got a Dot Dot Goose bag. And this is also a stitch thread holder in there, and I love this. So Christmas, I have not put anything in it yet. I can't wait to though. It's so funny. I showed this the last time, but my mom got me one as well for Christmas, which is great. So I now have 2 of these because Starlight Stitchers Co. also sent me one as a gift, which was amazing. And so I'm really excited to have 2 of these and be able to use them. A beautiful charm on there. So these are the stitching clutches that she sells. Definitely check her out as well. And then let's see, this is from Creative Carol on Etsy as well. So these were on my wish list and I sent them to a couple people and they got some things off my wish list. So I was very excited. This is what Chelsea uses for stitching with the Housewives for her projects. And so it is, I can't remember what it's called, but it's on there. She's got them, and this is the stitching red for the Stitching with the Housewives red. And then it's got the floss keeper in the middle and then another pouch here. I cannot wait to use this. I was just giddy when I got that one. And then the other item I got is from Chantel's 1-for-1 Design Company. And these are unfinished wood boards. So this part fits in here, you paint them, and then you put your stitching on them. So I'm excited to come up with something. I think there's 2 different sizes that I got. Yay! So like Dapper Doodads or Tear Tray Tidbits will fit on these. I'm sure there's other things as well. So I will come up with something to put on them. I'm very excited about those. And then finally, I forgot that I had signed up for this. But thankfully it's the last one that they were doing until you had to sign up again. And I did not sign up again. But this was just another button company. So a whole bunch of buttons for Christmas. The peppermint and holly. And I don't have a ton of buttons. So I'm kind of excited to put some of these to use. And I'll just show you a couple of them. So you got these little stockings. They're so cute. A little elf. That looks like a mitten. I don't know. And then just a whole bunch of colored buttons. That's what I'm gonna try to show you. And it comes in this really cute tin. There's a little pattern if you want to do something with the buttons as well that they give you. I know that they do have a new button series coming out this year, but like I said, being careful with the stash this year, and so I'm not signing up for that. But it was fun to get that one that I had forgotten about. So that was my haul, because it was mostly Christmas gifts, but I completely forgot to share that with you. So there it is. I think that's pretty much everything. The only other plan that I don't think I mentioned, okay, 2 things that I did want to mention. And you've probably seen these on other Flosstubers. I am using for my planning, these are from Katie the Naptime Stitcher on Instagram. And so she has a lot of great printouts that are very affordable for keeping track of your stitching. So I am filling these in to help me keep track because I am so bad about remembering everything. So you can see I did this one for my Vintage Truck series. Ignore the fact that I have terrible handwriting. I do, and that's okay. Anyway, so I did fill it in for this one. I've got other ones that I'm starting to fill in. So as I'm stitching them, I'm filling them in. She's got a cross stitch tracker that I'm using. So I've got my whips and I'm marking off what days I stitch on them. I do have the book of days that I'm going to use as well, but that one's going to be more just like filling in what did I stitch each day, or if I kitted something up or something like that is probably how I'm going to use it. She's got a Flosstube video planner, which I'm using, which is where all my notes are right now, which is really helpful. She's got an entire like calendar that you can print out. There's just a lot of things. So if you have not checked that out, I think it's a really helpful tool. And she is a cross stitcher. And so it's made by a cross stitcher for cross stitchers. And I love that. So please check that out because I think it's going to be helpful in keeping track of things, especially for me. And then the only other thing was for my part of my plans. So I mentioned Stitch Your Stash 2023. That is the Facebook group. It's SYS 2023. And that is with Sweetwater Stitcher and Fanciful Flamingo. And then the 52 Ornaments Stitch Along. And then, like I said, this year I'm going to focus on my whips, focus on the smalls. So I do have some monthly series that I'm going to do, but they're small and manageable, and I think I can do that. But I really do want to work on the whips. I'll try to get the stats from last year and then see how many whips I am starting with this year. I know it's less than the 50 something I think I started with last year. I think I'm down to like 40, maybe into the 30s with all the ones that I finished. I can't remember, but I will look at that. And then I do have some pieces. I mentioned this in my last video that I'm going to work on certain days of the month. So the 18th of the month, I'm going to be working on my This Is the Day Sow. And that was because the verse has 18 in the verse that comes from. So this is the day that the Lord has made comes from Psalms 118, I think. So I chose 18. And then on the 23rd, which is my birth number, February 23rd is my birthday. So on the 23rd, I'm going to work on the piece that I started for my birthday last year, which is Quaker Turtles. That is by Owl Forest Embroidery. And then on the 25th, I'm going to work on a Christmas piece. And the one that I've chosen right now is Silent Night by Stitching with the Housewives because I'd like to get that one finished this year. So hopefully by stitching on it at least once a month, when I get into my Christmas stitching, there'll be progress on it. So I'll be able to get that one finished. So those are, I think, my plans for the year, kind of what I'm going with for now. If anything changes, I'm sure it will. I will let you guys know. But I think that's kind of where I'm at right now with my plans and what I'm thinking of, to try to make this year productive yet manageable, and enjoyable as well. So I hope you guys have a great January. I hope it's not too cold where you're at, especially after the freeze that we had go through the country around Christmas. We've had some 70s weather, and I think we're back down to the 50s though, which is pretty normal for January. So we're just enjoying that, and we've got some rain too, which is not as enjoyable, but 'tis the season. So I hope everyone has a great next few weeks, few months till I see you again. Thank you guys so much for following along, and I will see you at least on Instagram, and I'll be back whenever I am able to, after this baby makes her arrival. So thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next time.